Hello beautiful souls, welcome back. It is so good to have you joining me here, and if you are new, please don't forget to click the subscribe button so that you can become part of our online community as we grow and talk all things spiritual and witchy and starseeds and all kinds of magical things. So today we're going to be talking about the Ray children, which is Indigo, Crystal and Rainbow. So let's get started. I actually filmed all this video and then I realised I didn't have my microphone on, which I actually never do. I always have it on. I'm so good at that normally, so I'm refilming this entire thing, so I just have to take it that the universe is gonna come through and channel through me better, and I'm gonna give you a better interpretation. So the Ray children are Indigo, Crystal and Rainbow, in that order usually. This is something that's obviously been channeled and interpreted multiple times, so I would say that you might have already heard a different interpretation or have a different understanding. That's completely fine. Just take what resonates, let go of what doesn't. And if you're completely new to this, then I'm really excited to introduce you to the Ray children. I think they're amazing and exciting, and let's just dive straight in. Let's just start by talking about Indigo. So Indigo souls started incarnating around about the 1950s/60s up until say the 1990s. And these souls have this really strong warrior energy to them. They're these spiritual warriors, and maybe they've even had past lives where they've been warriors, and they're really here to embody that quality. It's all about dismantling things. You can kind of think of the Tower card in tarot, where it's like breaking down things that don't have a really true, authentic, solid foundation to rebuild them. So Indigos are here to break things down. They're quite often old souls, so they may have incarnated here a few times. They might be coming back with this really strong mission, this catalytic quality. You know, they're here to create change by breaking down the old. So you can kind of think of the 70s and the peace, love and freedom and the hippie vibe. I think there was a lot of Indigo energy there, and I think it was so needed. And I also tend to think as well of, you know, the Berlin Wall and breaking down, pulling that down, that barrier, that really divisive element that wasn't serving anyone, right? And that's very Indigo to be like, nope. that's not right, let's break that down. I kind of feel like I feel like the Intergalactic Council probably were just watching where Earth was going, because it's like right after the World War II, Intergalactic Council were really looking at Earth and they were like, okay, they're kind of hitting self-destruct. These things aren't working for them. We need to send some souls down there to go down and to break out of that, to remove, to release that outdated way of thinking, because otherwise there could have been a World War III and that might have ended Earth, and that's not what the Intergalactic Council wants. So of course they probably asked for volunteer souls to go down and be this wave of Indigo souls to come down and to end and to stop and to break through the really outdated, lower vibrational way of thinking that was happening on Earth, that was creating all of this tension and this conflict internally and externally. So of course, because they're Indigo, they will have an Indigo aura. So that could be an outer aura. We all have different colors in our auras at different times depending on what we're working with or what we're embodying. So for me, it's more of like an outer shell that they could have. So you can also use that in meditations if you're an Indigo soul and call upon that Indigo color to go around you. And of course as well, because of Indigo, they're connected to the third eye. So that chakra is usually very activated for them. They're very intuitive and aware, quite old souls with a very futuristic way of thinking. So for me, it's really like 18-9 or 19-1 in soul plan. You know, the 18-9 is this really old soul connected to past life energy, and at the same time they're very futuristic and forward thinking and can really see into the future. There's this real Aquarius energy going on, where it's like we need to break that down in order to make way for the age of Aquarius to come through. And the 19 is really bringing this, let's move outside of the box of how society wants us to think or conform, and what else can we do? How can we actually move beyond that red tape and express ourselves and bring change into society? Indigos are really change makers, catalysts, and they're really here to have an impact. So you'll definitely know if you've been in the presence of an Indigo, because they just are going to cut through any rubbish. You think of the sword, like Archangel Michael, and it's really they're cutting through things that don't serve. So that can obviously be on a one-to-one level, but mostly it's within society that they're here to create change and to help us to move to the next dimension, to help us ascend, to help us move into the golden age. So even though we say that usually indigos are incarnate from the 1950s to say the 1990s, I would imagine that you can still find indigos incarnating even now, because if you just look at the past 2 years and the pandemic and everything that's happened, there's been a lot of change, lots of cutting through and releasing outdated ways of thinking. Yeah, that's a word. So you think, for example, the Me Too campaign, you think of anti-racism, all of these things are very indigo. They're really here to say, look at this isn't working. Why have you got this? Let's get rid of it. I almost feel like they're kind of the Marie Kondo of souls. They come in and they're like, is this outdated way of living serving you, making you feel like you have joy? No, get rid of it. You don't need it anymore. Declutter society. That's kind of how these souls are. So to me, there's quite an elemental quality to them. Like, they're very grounded, even though they're very connected to their third eye. They have a really strong, grounded energy, and it just almost feels like there's nothing they can't achieve. They're just really in their power, raring to go, raring to create change. So let me know if you resonate with indigo, or if you know somebody who you believe is indigo. And as I said, I still think that they will be still incarnating, just fewer of them. You know, we really needed that change after World War I and World War II, and I think there's enough of them at an age where they can help for now, but maybe in, say, 100 years we might find that they are coming back again. So we will see what happens. So then we have the crystal souls, and these souls to me are very white light, very pure, very innocent. There's a very innocent quality to them, and that's because some of them are slightly newer, and I mean newer to Earth. That doesn't mean they've never incarnated here, but some of them haven't, but they are quite new to Earth, and they come from more of an 8th dimensional realm, and they're really here to bring down and anchor that light. So that can be anchoring the light that they channel down from their planet of origin or their dimension of origin, and it can also be just anchoring light in general. So they're really anchoring into Earth. The top few layers of Earth don't have as much love and light and high vibrational energy in them as they used to. So crystals are really here to help reconnect that, to expand that love and that light within society and within Earth. And they tend to do it in quite a subtle way. So crystals are not looking for recognition or fame or fortune. They are more kind of working in the subtle layers. So they can quite often be grid workers. So they can channel or bring down light into a specific area, for example, or they might actually work with crystal grids. I mean, they'll definitely love crystals, not just because that's their name, but because they will absolutely love the vibration that crystals have and helping to bring that down and expand that into society. So they might actually create crystal or flower grids, for example. They might send healing into the earth. And I mean, you can use Reiki, for example, but I would say firstly it's important to be culturally appropriate, and secondly, of course, you don't have to copy or step into one culture's interpretation of channeling the light. Naturally, crystals and crystal souls can channel the light. They might even channel it through crystals, for example. So there's this really high vibrational quality to them. As I say, they are 8th dimensional beings. They also have this strong connection to helping us connect to our divinity. So that could be through their presence, it could be through things that they create or make or share. It can be anything that they want to choose. I feel like they can work quite a lot on the subtle layers. That's the way I describe them. So it might be that just being in their presence, you think, actually, I feel really inspired to connect more to who I truly am, or to my higher self or something. So there's that quality that they bring in, and I'd say they're quite gentle souls, where the indigos are more, let's go, you know, raring to go. I think they're very gentle crystals. So as I say, for them, they're probably going to be, you know, stepping back, not necessarily be a face within society, but definitely be an energy that they're bringing through to go into society. Crystals incarnate from around the 1990s to 2000s to 2010. It's a slightly shorter period, and they're really here to be the bridge between the indigos and the rainbow rose. Ugh. They're really here to be the bridge between the indigos and their work and the rainbows and their work. So for them, it's really like the indigos have cleared the space and the crystals have come in to then clear the energy of the space and anchor in a new energy, a new light that can really help to raise the frequency of a space. Because Leftover energy is really important, guys. So if you don't already clear your energy in your space, in your house or your job, for example, definitely do it, because if you've had a conflict with someone, or even with yourself, if you've ever got annoyed with yourself, the energy is left in that space from that expression of that emotion. So you need to clear that to have a new energy or a lighter energy come in. Otherwise, every time you step into that space, that leftover energy is going to be absorbed by you, and it's probably going to start making you feel irritated or frustrated or annoyed. So quite often, actually, you can find that it's important to clear that, and that's what crystals will do. So the indigos will knock the tower down, if you like, or the outdated ways of thinking down, and then the crystals will come in. Almost, you can think of them like spiritual cleaners. They'll come in and they'll like hoover up the toxicity and remove things. You know, they've got their special masks and goggles and outfits on, and they're clearing things, and then they're going to do the crystal grids and channel the light into that space to raise the frequency, to clear it, to start it afresh, and probably start it to what it used to be, really, but we'll say start it afresh, ready for the next generation of souls, which is the rainbow. My battery could go at any minute. Ooh, my battery gonna go. Okay, so then we have rainbow souls, and these are the last known souls of the Ray children that we know of, but I do imagine that probably there will be an expansion and perhaps newer Ray souls coming through. I just think we're going through such a huge transition at the moment on Earth. We might. Okay, I'm back. I just had to go and get my other battery. Okay. Where were we? We were talking about rainbows. So rainbows are believed to have started incarnating in the 2000s, and some of them will have come through a little bit earlier, of course. That happens with all of them, because that way you can start to do the groundwork, shall we say. On the whole, they'll be quite young. They probably will be under 20 at the time that I'm recording this. Rainbows are really here to guide us into Christ consciousness, into our higher self, into a more loving, compassionate way of thinking. So rainbows actually encapsulate all of the colours of the rainbow, all of the colours of the rainbow. That's why they're named that. They have an infusion of all the different colours of light. The indigos just are connected to indigo, and the crystals are this kind of white pure light, whereas rainbows have the lot. So they will probably have quite bright, colourful auras, and they could have quite rainbow coloured auras and really be working with that energy quite a lot. And they are basically here to then carry on the work that the indigo and the crystals have started, and to help show us a new way of being. So we've broken down the old ways with the indigos, we've cleared the energy and the leftover toxicity with the crystals. We've started to understand that we have a divinity with the crystals, and now the rainbows are saying, let's go to the next space, which is through your spiritual path even further. Let's help get you into a space where oneness and connection and unity and love and compassion and just a natural part of life. There's no division, there's no you and me, we're connected. So I'm not just talking from, you know, an ascension point of view where you recognize this oneness. I mean really as being from a more community driven space. So of course rainbows are connected to their soul star chakra, so there could be a lot of star seeds that are incarnated, and I imagine that there probably are as well. I think probably if any rainbows watch this, they will probably connect to the idea of a star seed, and I think it'll be just really normal to them. They'll just be like, well, of course I come from another realm. You know, that's how I've come here, to show you guys how we ascended to the next dimension, so that I can help teach you that next space. So I really think rainbows are going to have a lot of teaching qualities to them. I think they are going to be comfortable with being in the light and being in the limelight, or, you know, center stage, not because they want attention from an ego space or anything like that, but because in order to lead people into a new way of being, you have to be comfortable with being seen. You can't hide and teach people, it's just not possible. So they're really going to be comfortable with that, and actually I wouldn't be surprised if that's why we have this kind of TikTok, Reels, YouTube, like this huge push towards that visual side of things, because that's what they're all about. How do you teach someone? Either verbally, written, or face to face, or visually, right? So that's really what I think they're going to be coming into. And I actually think they're also helping us to understand that you don't have to be conforming to society in the sense of being a man or a woman. I really think a lot of these souls will actually be helping us to understand the non-binary, or the queer, or the transgender. I think they're helping us to understand the fluidity of our energy, and that we don't have to be one or the other. So really we're coming out of a space of duality and polarity, and they're taking us into a space of unity and oneness, right? And that's obviously going to be a long journey. That's not going to just, in the next 10 years we're done, everybody's sorted, we've all ascended, as much as I would love that to be the case. and then I could retire on a desert island. No, I'm joking. As much as I would love that, definitely that's not the case. So there's a lot of action and going out and doing things. I feel like this rainbow are kind of similar to indigo in the sense that they want to change things, they want new. So they're very confident almost, you know. I definitely noticed that, like the younger generation, and it makes me feel really old and really weird to say that because I still think of myself as being like 20, but the younger generation, so like people who are around 18, 20 at the moment, they're really helping to teach us, like me, and the older generations this new way of thinking and being. So for some people it might be that it's too indoctrinated or ingrained in them, they won't be able to see and expand beyond that, and that's fine. That's just the path they're on right now. Maybe when they incarnate next time, they will actually come from a space where they really understand it, or they step into that. But other people will be being really taught and led into this new way of being through rainbows. Of course, rainbows are very intuitive. Again, they've got all this information they can channel through from their soul star straight down. They can share that. I feel like there's this really confident, assertive, knowledgeable quality that rainbows have, and as I say, with the crystal they're slightly shyer, they're more innocent. Rainbows are not, and again that's another beautiful quality that they bring forward and they share with the world. I think it's really important actually to have a balance of the three. So with each of them, yes, I'm giving you a time frame for each of them, but you don't have to have been born in that time frame to then think of yourself as that. So I'm born in 89, so technically I would be an indigo, but I really don't resonate with anything really that comes up for indigo. I even owned the Indigo Oracle deck by Doreen Virtue, and I never ever used it. I opened the deck and I was like, nothing about this resonates for me, and so I never used it, and I actually recently let go of it, and I don't miss it because it just wasn't for me, right? So I resonate more with kind of a crystal rainbow mix. I think from a crystal side of view, yeah, I definitely want to help bring in and connect people to their divinity, but at the same time I want to do it slightly more present, slightly more obvious ways, which is more of a rainbow. So I think I'm a mix between the two. So if you're watching this and you think I don't just fit in as a rainbow, or I don't just fit in as a crystal, that's fine. You don't have to. There's not, you know, a set thing. With the universe, it is fluid. You don't have to be rigid about it and be like, oh, I'm only an indigo or I'm only a crystal. It's okay if you are more than one, or if you think there's an element of all three of them within you, that's also fine. You know, at the end of the day, it's okay to have that flexibility within your soul. So let me know which of the three resonates more with you. Do you resonate more with that warrior energy, breaking down old ways of being, clearing the path? Do you resonate more with working behind the scenes, creating space to bring in new light, clearing old energy out? Or do you resonate more with showing people a new way of being, helping them to connect to the Christ consciousness or their higher self, and showing them the oneness and the unity that is true for all of them? But first, of course, you have to teach them a new way of being. So which one resonates for you? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in next week's video. Oh, I need to do a thumbnail.